What happens when a black schoolgirl gets humiliated by classmates who have no idea who her father is? What unfolds in the hallway that Monday morning leaves the entire school in stunned silence? Let's make one thing clear. Kayla Brooks wasn't the kind of girl who blended into the background. She wasn't loud, no. She wasn't one of those kids always chasing attention, running their mouth or trying to impress folks who wouldn't notice her even if she were on fire. But when she walked into a room, you felt her. That poise, that peace, it wasn't showy, it was rooted. Like she came from people who survived too much to raise a daughter who would ever shrink herself. 14 years old, and already walking like she'd been here before. She showed up to school early that morning, like always. Not because she was trying to score extra credit, please, let's not insult her, but because she liked to breathe before the chaos hit. She liked the quiet, liked seeing the janitors nod at her like she was part of their rhythm. They knew her. They respected her. You could tell by the way they'd smile and say things like, "You keep carrying yourself like that, baby girl. This world's gonna have to make room for you." And she believed them. At least she used to. She was cutting across the courtyard, binder tucked tight under her arm, when she saw the scene. You know the kind. A knot of students, laughing like they just watched someone trip and fall flat. Except this time, it was worse. A 7th grader, pale-faced and panicked, was crawling around on the ground like he was searching for his pride. His folder had burst open, dozens of hand-drawn pictures, and pencil sketches, some with color, some with messy eraser marks, were flying around like leaves, and not one person helped, not one. The kids around him weren't just ignoring it, they were delighted. A few even kicked the drawings out farther just to see him scramble. They pointed and laughed like he was some walking punchline. The kind of cruelty that's so casual, it makes your stomach twist. Kayla saw all that, and she moved. Didn't think, didn't hesitate, didn't stop to wonder if someone else would do it. She dropped to her knees and started collecting the pages, careful not to smudge the pencil lines. One had a spaceship shaped like a lion. Another showed a girl with glowing hands. She smiled, holding them like they were sacred. When she handed the folder back, she met the boy's eyes and said softly, "They don't see it, but I do. You're good. Don't you ever stop drawing." The boy blinked, stunned. Then he gave her a tiny nod, that kind of half-smile kids give when they haven't had someone in their corner for a long time. But kindness don't always come with a reward. Sometimes it puts a target right on your back. Kayla walked into 3rd period like nothing happened until she saw her desk. And let me tell you something. This wasn't some childish prank. This wasn't a whoopee cushion or a gum under the seat kind of joke. This was deliberate. The kind of deliberate that comes from kids who think they're untouchable, who've been raised to believe they're better, not just richer or luckier, but superior. Her desk was trashed. Not a little, not oops, spilled something. It was covered. Crumpled wrappers, apple cores, greasy napkins, a crushed soda can still leaking on her science book, and right on top, like a cherry on this disgusting Sunday, a whole, muddy, half-ripped boot. The smell hit her before she even got to the seat. She blinked once, then again. For a second, she wondered if this was real, like maybe her brain was making it up. But oh no, it was real, and it got worse. Her notebook was open on the desk, its pages stained with what looked like grape juice and ink. In big, jagged letters across the front, someone had written, "Wrong school. Stay in your place. We don't clean toilets here." And if that wasn't enough, 3 boys in the back snickered, loud, proud, like they were waiting for applause. And one of them, smug as anything, leaned back and said with a smile too wide to be innocent, "You lost, sweetheart? Ghetto's 2 blocks over." That's when something inside her froze. Not just fear, oh no. It was rage, slow-burning, heavy in the chest rage. The kind of rage you don't scream, the kind you carry, the kind you bottle, because the moment you show it, they'll call you the problem. She looked around. 25 students in that class. Not one of them said a thing. Not one. Even the girl she'd helped with notes last week, silence. Even the boy who'd once borrowed her charger every day for a month, eyes down. Then in walked Miss Grayson, sipping that travel mug like it held all the energy she needed to tolerate teenagers, saw the desk, paused, raised an eyebrow. And you know what she said? "Clean it up. We've got work to do." That's it. No investigation. No who did this. No, "Are you okay, Kayla?" Just clean it up. Like it was her mess. Like her seat was some forgotten corner of the building, not a place where a student was supposed to learn, focus, feel safe. Kayla didn't argue. She didn't flinch. She just sat down and started picking up the trash, one by one, the soda-soaked napkin, the banana peel, the paper with the insult. She wiped her book off with the edge of her hoodie, like that would undo what just happened. She didn't cry, but make no mistake, her silence wasn't surrender. It was storage. Because what happened in that room? It was being recorded, not on a phone, but in her bones, burned into memory. And while they laughed, while they turned their heads and kept pretending she was invisible, she was right there, in plain sight, holding the full weight of their cowardice. If the mess on Kayla's desk felt like a slap, what followed was a slow, grinding shove. The kind that tries to push you out quietly, with no fingerprints left behind. The next day, she did something brave. She waited until the hallway emptied out between classes and walked up to Miss Grayson's desk, heart thudding, hands clenched in the sleeves of her hoodie. She kept her voice low. "Miss Grayson, that mess yesterday, that wasn't random. They did it on purpose. It's not the first time." Miss Grayson didn't look up from her stack of tests. She didn't even take a breath before responding. "Kayla, you're a bright girl, but sometimes bright kids have overactive imaginations. Don't make it bigger than it is." Overactive imagination? Really? Like Kayla was some drama queen making up conspiracies for fun? That moment hit her like cold water to the face. Not because Miss Grayson didn't believe her. Kayla had already guessed that much. What stung was how quickly she dismissed it, how fast she tucked it away like it was just a phase, like Kayla being disrespected in broad daylight was some quirky misunderstanding. That's when Kayla understood. This school wasn't built for her. Not really. It had rules, sure, anti-bullying posters on every wall, a safe space sticker on the counselor's door. But when it came down to it, those rules had names behind them, and hers wasn't on the list. She went to her locker after that, trying to shake it off. But the second she opened it, a wave of ink spilled out like a bad prank from an old cartoon. Someone had filled her locker with blue-black ink. Her gym shirt ruined, her folders soaked, her math notes gone. Taped to the inside of the door was a sticky note. No name, no signature, just 3 words in all caps. "Stay in line." She stood there, motionless. You know when you're too mad to cry. That's where she was, just locked in place, fists tight, heart racing, like her body was trying to hold it all in before something snapped. And it wasn't over. Later, in the bathroom, she overheard it. The same trio of girls. The ones always lurking near the popular crowd, always whispering when Kayla walked past. They didn't even whisper this time, just walked right past her in front of the mirror and said, "Your daddy ain't gonna save you, sweetheart. You're still nothing here." Now hold up. Her father? Kayla hadn't told anybody about that. Not a soul. Her daddy, Dr. Walter Brooks, was the new principal, freshly hired and trying to clean up a school that had been swept under the rug for years. But he made her promise. No special treatment. I want them to know you for you, not for me. She'd kept that promise. She wanted to earn her space. She thought, if I do everything right, they'll see me. But what she didn't realize was that the moment she walked into that school with skin a shade darker than most, her space had already been assigned, and it came with conditions. She was fine as long as she was quiet, as long as she didn't take up too much space, as long as she didn't call anything out. But the moment she showed integrity, the moment she refused to shrink, they came for her. A few days later, in the cafeteria, Kayla saw something she couldn't ignore. Miss Linda, one of the janitors. Older woman, hunched a bit at the shoulders, always wearing orthopedic shoes and carrying a kindness in her eyes. She was pushing a heavy cart, loaded with trays, utensils, garbage bags tied at the ends. That trio of boys, the same ones who'd trashed her desk, walked right past her, and one of them, without a second thought, knocked a full cup of orange juice right off the table. It exploded across the floor, sticky, messy, deliberate. They laughed. They actually laughed. Kayla didn't think twice. She stood up from her table and marched over, eyes blazing. You think that's funny? She snapped. She's not your servant. She's a human being. The laughter died for a second, but one of them just raised an eyebrow and smirked. Look at this. Kayla's back with her superhero cape. You want the cart too? Go ahead, roll it. And the worst part? People laughed. Not everyone, but enough to make the point. Kayla helped Miss Linda clean up the mess. Quietly. Gently. Like dignity was something you could hand back one small gesture at a time. That night at home, she sat across the dinner table from her father. He was tired. School board meetings, staff training, fighting the kind of fights that didn't end at 5 p.m. He asked, gently, "Everything okay at school?" She paused, thought about telling him, thought about unloading it all. But the words got stuck, caught between shame and fear and the deep, aching truth that she didn't want him to feel like he had failed. So she just said, "I'm tired." And he looked at her, really looked, but didn't press. He knew that kind of tired, the kind that doesn't come from staying up too late, but from holding too much in. Meanwhile, something was shifting in the hallways. Whispers, side eyes, little murmurs like smoke before a fire. You know her daddy's the new principal, right? Wait, for real? Oh, that explains a lot. It started with a whisper and turned into a wave. And Kayla had no idea just how fast that little fact was about to blow the roof off everything. Monday morning hit different. Kayla wasn't walking. She was enduring. Head down, shoulders heavy, feet dragging like they carried more than just a backpack. At this point, it wasn't about being tired. It was about being worn out, soul tired, the kind of tired that wraps around your chest and whispers, "Just survive the day." She didn't make eye contact, didn't speak, just kept moving down the hall like a ghost in her own life. When she got to her locker, something inside her already knew. She opened the door, and sure enough, garbage spilled out. Crushed soda cans, sandwich crusts, wet napkins, and right in the middle, a folded piece of paper taped to the back wall, written in bold, ugly handwriting. Go where your kind cleans, not learns. For a moment, she just stared, didn't move. Her face didn't even change. Because when they've tried to break you over and over, what's one more crack in the glass? But then she heard it, sharp, purposeful footsteps echoing off the tile floor, steady, strong, not rushed, not panicked, the kind of walk that says, "I'm not here to ask permission." Principal Walter Brooks, her father, had just stepped into the student wing of the building, for the first time all year, and silence followed him like a shadow. Teachers froze mid-sentence. Students stopped mid-sentence. Heads turned like dominoes. You could feel the shift, the weight of authority walking right into the one place they thought he'd never go. He walked straight up to Kayla, still standing by her vandalized locker. He looked at her with that father's look. Not pity, not shock, but understanding. Deep and ancient. And then he asked, calmly, but loud enough for the whole hallway to hear, "Baby girl, are you all right?" That was it. One sentence. And just like that, everything stopped. Every hallway whisper, every giggle, every smirk, gone. One of the bullies, the ringleader with the gelled hair and crooked grin, coughed, panicked. "Wait, did he just say baby girl?" Dr. Brooks turned, but this wasn't the fiery rage people expect. No raised voice, no fist pounding. Just calm steel, the kind of calm that makes the walls listen. "Let me be perfectly clear," he said, voice carrying through the entire corridor. "A few days ago, someone dumped garbage on my daughter's desk. You humiliated her, and every single person who stood by and said nothing, every student, every adult, was part of that silence." Nobody moved. Even the lights seemed to dim. "This isn't just bullying," he continued. "This is a pattern. This is targeted. This is what happens when people get too comfortable thinking they won't be held accountable because the victim is black, because she's alone, because her dignity is disposable." You could hear a pin drop. "We will review every hallway camera, every locker timestamp, every message. We will speak to every teacher who failed to act. There will be retraining and there will be consequences. Not later. Now." The boys who thought they were invincible tried to dip out the side, but too late. Security, who had clearly been briefed in advance, was already stepping forward, calm but firm, like they'd been waiting for this moment all week. Miss Grayson, watching from the edge of the crowd, went pale. Her coffee cup shook in her hands. Her eyes dropped to the floor like even she couldn't pretend anymore. No one said a word. No one could, because the mask had fallen, and what it exposed, it was ugly. It was real, and it was theirs. Later that day, back in her classroom, Kayla walked in to find something new on the board. It wasn't chalked in by a student. It was typed, printed, and signed by the faculty and student leadership. We failed you. We see you. We owe you better. And we're starting with an apology. It wasn't perfect. It didn't undo the damage, but it was something. And slowly, one by one, students approached her. Not performative, not loud. The boy with the drawings from the courtyard handed her a folded paper, a new sketch, a girl in a cape, crown on her head, fist raised. He didn't say much, just smiled, nervous. She nodded. Others followed. A whispered, "I'm sorry." A hand on her shoulder, a moment of standing beside her instead of behind. Not everyone changed, but that wall of silence, it cracked. That night, on the way home, she walked beside her father. They didn't say much, didn't need to. At the front steps, she slipped her hand into his. He looked down and said, with a pride that didn't need to shout, "You didn't just stand up, Kayla, you stood through it. You showed them that one voice, one truth, can drown out 1,000 lies." And this time, she smiled. Not to be polite, not to seem okay, but because for once, she was.